in a quiet village at the edge of the great African savanna, where the grass whispered secrets and the wind carried ancient voices, there lived a boy who could do something no one else could. He could speak to lions. Not just mimic their growls, not just call them from afar. He understood them. And for many years, the lions never answered back. Until one day, they did. The boy's name was Musa. He was not born into greatness. He had no riches, no powerful father, no special title. In fact, many people in the village barely noticed him at all. Musa lived in a small, crumbling hut at the far edge of the village with his grandmother, a quiet old woman whose eyes had seen too much of life. She rarely spoke, but when she did, her words carried weight. Musa's parents were long gone. Some said they died when he was very young. Others whispered that something darker had taken them. But Musa never asked questions. He grew up learning to survive with little, speaking more to the wind and animals than to people. From a young age, Musa noticed something strange. Animals listened to him. Not like they listened to other humans, with fear or instinct, but with attention. When he spoke softly, birds would stop and tilt their heads. Goats would calm down. Even restless dogs would sit beside him quietly. At first, he thought it was nothing. Until the day he met the lion. Musa was no more than 8 years old when it happened. He had wandered farther than usual, chasing a small bird into the tall golden grass of the savanna. The sun hung low, painting the land in shades of fire. That was when he heard it. A deep, rumbling sound. Not thunder. Not wind. A growl. Musa froze. Slowly, he turned. And there, standing just a few steps away, was a lion. Massive. Golden. Powerful. Its eyes locked onto him. Any other child would have run. But Musa didn't. He couldn't. Something held him in place. The lion stepped closer. One step. Then another. Musa's heart pounded so loudly he thought the lion could hear it. And then, without thinking, he spoke. Not in his village language. Not in words he had ever learned. But in a low, soft sound that came from somewhere deep within him. The lion stopped. Its ears twitched. Musa spoke again. The air grew still. For a moment that felt like forever, the lion simply stared at him. Then, without a sound, it turned and walked away. From that day on, Musa was never the same. He began returning to the savanna more often. At first, he stayed close to the village. But slowly, as his confidence grew, he went deeper and deeper into the land where humans rarely walked. And each time, he called out. And sometimes, they came. Lions. Not one. Not two. But many. At first, they kept their distance. Watching him carefully, circling him, testing him. But Musa was patient. He never shouted. Never showed fear. He spoke to them in that strange, instinctive language only he seemed to understand. And over time, they accepted him. People began to talk. Have you seen that boy? One woman whispered. He walks where even hunters fear to go, another replied. It is not normal, an old man said. No child returns from the lion's land. At first, the villagers dismissed it as rumor. But then, a hunter decided to see for himself. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a skilled hunter followed Musa silently into the savanna. He moved like a shadow, careful not to make a sound. From behind a thick tree, he watched. And what he saw made his blood run cold. Musa stood in an open clearing. 3 lions surrounded him. Not attacking. Not hunting. Listening. The boy spoke. The lion stayed. One even lay down, as if in peace. The hunter nearly dropped his spear. He had faced lions before. He knew their nature. This was not natural. This was something else. Something dangerous. He ran back to the village with fear in his heart. By the next morning, the entire village knew. The boy speaks with lions. He is not ordinary. This is not a gift, it is a curse. The chief, a strong and respected leader, called for a gathering. Musa stood before the villagers as they stared at him, not with kindness, but with suspicion. "Is it true?" the chief asked. Musa said nothing. "Do you go into the savannah and speak with lions?" Musa nodded. A murmur spread through the crowd. The chief's face darkened. "No human should walk among lions as if they are equals," he said firmly. "You are playing with something you do not understand." But Musa said nothing. Because deep inside, he believed he did understand. Days passed. Then weeks. Despite the warnings, Musa continued. But something began to change. The lions were different. Less distant. More intense. Their eyes lingered longer. Their movements felt deliberate. One evening, Musa noticed something new. They were not just listening anymore. They were watching him, carefully. As if studying him. Still, he ignored the feeling. Until the night everything changed. The sky was heavy with clouds. The air was still. Even the birds were silent. Musa stepped into the clearing. The lions were already there. Waiting. More than usual. Bigger. Stronger. Their presence filled the space with tension. Musa felt it immediately. Something was wrong. Still, he spoke. The familiar sounds left his mouth. But this time, the lions did not respond the way they always had. They did not relax. They did not turn away. Instead, one stepped forward. The largest of them all. Its mane dark and thick. Its eyes burning with something Musa had never seen before. Understanding. It opened its mouth. And this time, it answered. The sound was low. Deep. Powerful. But Musa understood every part of it. You come here, every day. Musa's breath caught in his throat. You walk among us, like you belong. The other lions began to move slowly around him. Not attacking. Not yet. But you are not one of us. Musa's legs trembled. For the first time, fear gripped him completely. You have learned our sounds, the lion continued. You have learned our ways. It stepped closer. Too close. But you have forgotten your place. Musa whispered, barely able to speak. What place? The lion's gaze pierced through him. You are not a lion. A pause. Heavy. Terrifying. You are prey. Time seemed to stop. Musa's mind raced. Every moment he had spent with them, every step he had taken, every word he had spoken. He had believed he was safe. He had believed he was accepted. But he had misunderstood everything. Slowly, very slowly, Musa lowered his head. A sign of submission. Respect. Something he had stopped showing. The lions watched him. Silence filled the air. Then, the great lion stepped aside. The others followed. A path opened. Musa did not hesitate. He walked. Slowly at first. Then faster. But he did not run. He did not look back. Not even once. Musa never returned to the savannah again. The villagers noticed the change immediately. He no longer wandered. No longer spoke to the wind. No longer disappeared into the tall grass. He became quiet. Thoughtful. Different. Years later, when children gathered around him, asking about the stories they had heard, Musa would only say this: "There are things in this world that may listen to you." He would pause, looking far beyond them, as if they understand you. Another pause. But the day they finally answer, his voice would grow softer. Is the day you must remember who you are. Respect what you do not fully understand. Because sometimes, the moment something answers you, is the moment you realize you were never meant to speak to it at all. If you enjoy African stories, folklore, myths, and legendary tales, this channel is for you. Subscribe to African Savannah Tales for new African folktales and storytelling videos every week, and explore the wisdom, mystery, and magic of Africa's timeless stories.